Students who take first year writing, first of all, see it as a gen ed requirement most of the time. They're not really sure why they're there, depending on their particular major or their particular interests. It's just kind of a course that they have to take. And I think that they come into first year writing not realizing what the value is and what they can transfer out of that class into courses, other gen ed courses or courses, and especially courses in their major. So what I really try to do in my first year writing course is to ground it in writing across the curriculum. I provide assignments for them that have them thinking about the writing that they're going to be needing to do, not only in courses for their major and the different types of writing that they're going to need to do, different genres, different conventions, those types of things, but also the writing that they're going to need to do in their careers after they leave the institution.
This is a question that depends on context, I think. So it depends on where I'm teaching, what the learning objectives of the individual first year writing class is. Teaching writing at one place may be different from teaching writing at another place. It all depends on the goals that the course has designed, what the curriculum expects of you. That being said, generally what I'd like students to do once they have finished with their first year writing class is to approach writing differently than when they began it. So for instance, I want them to really take drafting seriously, considering revision, rethinking ideas instead of just putting them out there and leaving them there. Also rhetorical habits, thinking about who you're writing to. How do you want to represent yourself in your writing? What's going to be the most effective way for me to communicate these ideas?
I would like my students to go away from my class with a little toolkit that they can pull out what they need when they face another writing situation, so that I teach them very basic principles of writing, which is focus, organization, development, and style and mechanics. And I teach them in that order, and I teach the students to use them in that order. And it works. It seems very simplistic because everything in the class revolves around those principles, and those principles are informed by the cognitive process approach to writing, as well as social epistemic approaches to writing, so that I see teaching and the writing process as an amalgamation of how people learn and what they're learning for in terms of their relation to the social. When you're first teaching people how to write, the first thing you need them to recognize is that they're in a context, that it's not just them and what they think. It goes into their writing, that they're in a context, they occupy a space, there's a reason for their writing what they're writing, and they need to know what that reason is. We call it the so what in my classes. And as they move away from this kind of self-absorption, they begin to see elements of writing begin to see the value of those elements of writing.
That I want students to leave their first year writing class as flexible writers. And that means that I want them to have some idea of what it takes to tailor their text to the demands of any given rhetorical situation. All too often students come to us with the idea that there is one kind of good writing. Often it's a sort of academic writing. Sometimes it's a 5-paragraph theme. Often it's writing that has an introduction with a thesis statement in the last paragraph, and maybe it has lots and lots of paragraphs. Maybe it goes a lot of different ways, but it's basically academic prose. I want them to think about all the kinds of writing that they do in their lives and that they will be doing, And there's no way that I, in 15 weeks, can prepare them I couldn't teach them all of the different kinds of writing they'll ever do. There's no way. There's too many different kinds of writing in the world. All I can do is teach them to an approach that will allow them to work successfully in all of the different rhetorical situations that they're going to encounter.
We'll say I teach writing as a public act. Every writing assignment I give has an audience that's clearly delineated. Sometimes the audience is imaginary because we don't have the resources to go out and invoke a real, by real I mean tangible audience. So sometimes the audience is imagined, at other times it will be researched. So if it's a writing for a particular magazine, students can do some research and figure out what the audience is for themselves. How do I teach writing? I teach writing by helping students start with the rhetorical situation, audience, purpose, and context.